people don't like listening to it with that in the background, so it just hurts everybody.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, you got the Gronked Up podcast. I was
Yeah, we record a lot, and people just like good sound quality, or they just tune out. So I just, even when it kind of gets choppy, it's just so annoying. And I'm sure you've listened to podcasts where it's super choppy, and you're just like, man,
Oh yeah.
after a while, you kind of just you stop listening. So I'd rather it just be better.
Oh yeah, perfect. I was actually listening to the Rob Van Dam one last night. Big
Oh, for real?
wrestling fan
Nice.
too. I know you guys grew up like big wrestling fans, right?
Yeah, man, that was cool. So that was super. Like we didn't really do any online, and he was one of the first ones. So I was
Wow.
pretty excited. I was a little nervous about it, man, because I'm like, man, this guy can go anywhere with his topics. He's pretty crazy.
Pretty
So
versatile.
yeah, I mean, I was on his Instagram page right before that, and he has like all these chicks on him, like half naked, and I'm like, oh man, this is gonna be a good show. So I didn't know what was gonna happen, but it was good.
He wasn't
Actually,
high, was he?
interesting. He might have been. I don't think he was, but we actually didn't do video for that one, so I'm not
Oh,
sure.
okay. That's funny. Again, I don't want to take like too much. I think I could probably get this done in like 20 minutes. I guess it all depends
Cool,
on how
man.
you answer the questions. So
Yeah, for sure. No, I mean, I just try to keep them under 30 if possible.
yeah,
Because some people will get me on here and it'll be like an hour and a half later. I'm like, man, I got a lot to do today.
I
So,
know.
yeah, for sure.
You're moving into that new warehouse this week. You said you were pretty busy.
Yeah, so we're trying to get in by Thursday at the latest. So it's been almost a month now since we bought it. It's just been a process. So it's gonna be a lot of work for these next 2 days. So
Interesting. And I think
hopefully,
that was like one of the first things I wanted to ask you about Ice Shaker because obviously you founded it on Shark Tank, all of that. What was like your biggest inspiration behind doing that? Kind of coming from the football world, obviously Gronkowski family, well known in the NFL. What was kind of your inspiration behind starting that, and how much of those values as a professional athlete, when it came to mentality and kind of self discipline, did you carry over into becoming an entrepreneur?
yeah, man. So I wanted to start it really because I was all about health and fitness. So our whole family is. My dad's been in the fitness industry for over 30 years. So I grew up watching him build a business. He worked 6 years, two jobs, while he started his own business, and it was fitness equipment. So we saw the difference that it made. We saw the difference it made in our own lives as well, and it got us to that next level physically, but also mentally. It's a mental game for me as well. So I've always loved health, fitness, nutrition, and so at that time in my life, I was done with football. I was about 5 years out, and I was working with my wife, and we had our own business. It was super successful as well. She still has it. We're actually integrating it together in our new warehouse, which is pretty cool. But it was her passion. It wasn't something that I had to do. We were super comfortable. We were doing really well, but for me, it was something that I wanted to do. So when I thought of that idea for Ice Shaker, it was something that was a perfect fit. It was like, hey, I could work out and make videos at the gym, and it's considered work. That's the best thing ever. So that's how it fell upon it. I thought of the idea really because I wanted it for myself. I was at the gym. It was super hot out, and by the time I got there, my bottle was warm. There's sweat rings everywhere, and at that time there was so many insulated bottles on the market, and I was just figured I'd go home and just grab one off Amazon or off Google or whatever it was. And when I went home, there was just nothing on the market that I could find that was easy to fill, easy to clean, that would also keep your drink cold or hot, and then had the ability to mix. Well, I was all about traveling at that time, especially before I had kids. I have three kids now, but at that time I was going to Rob's games every weekend. I was traveling everywhere, and it was tough to eat healthy when you're on the road. That's one of the biggest challenges. So I would always take powder with me and a shaker bottle. So at that point, I just wanted one bottle that I could use all day, everywhere that I went, and that was the goal. So make a bottle for work, make a bottle for the gym, but also traveling at the pool, at the kids' games, tailgate, whatever it was. I just wanted one bottle that I could use everywhere, and that was the goal. So I went on the journey, man, and it was a long journey, and you have to be passionate about it, because if you're not, it's never going to work. And there was a lot of ups and downs, and it's been a grind, man. But we're going on year 4, new
Yeah.
warehouse coming, and you know, probably have over 100 different products, different colors and bottles at this time. So it's
Yeah.
been good. But yeah, to hit on the second part of the question, there's a lot that transfers over from sports into the business world. One of the first things you learn really for me was in college, and that was just time management. In college, it's hard to be a student athlete. You have a mandatory study hall in the morning, you have mandatory breakfast. After that, you're going right to a workout or you're going right to class. And then, after class, you're going, either that workout if you didn't have it in the morning, or you're going right to practice. And then you get out of that, you have a mandatory dinner,
Yeah.
and then you're going right back to studying for the next day for the most part. And then in between all that, you're trying to party too and actually have a good time. So it's a grind, man. So one of the first things I learned from sports and college and all that as well is just time management,
Mhm.
which transfers over big time when you run your own business, because there's never enough hours in the day, and there's always something that comes up that you have to fix or do. So time management was huge. Number two, from football, what I think is just also the ability to study opponents and your competition. People don't see that a lot,
Yeah.
but it's huge. We have a playbook that we have to study each and every day. We watch film. We study each player, their tendencies, what they're doing, and by the time you get out there, you're ready for it. And that's very similar with business. You have to study the market. You have to study your competition. You have to see what's out there as well. So that transferred right over as well. The hard work, the long days, that's obvious.
Yeah.
You're waking up early, you're grinding. Exactly the same with business. I mean, when I started this, probably working 80 hours a week. Now I'm probably still up there. If you include all the time I spend on a computer or on my phone that actually contributes to working, I'm sure I'm still at 80 hours a week as well. But it never turns off. I mean, even as I go to lay down in bed, I'm still thinking about ways to get better or new things that I can do. And even social media, I mean, everything I do is just
Oh, yeah.
geared towards finding ways to just get out there and help more people and get more people into this healthy lifestyle that I'm trying to live. And then the last thing that I think is really big that I learned that actually took me a little while to implement was teamwork.
Mhm.
As an athlete, you're always in the system, but you're also so competitive. So when I left, I started my own business. I was so competitive that I just didn't think anyone else could do what I could do. So, I put everything on my own plate. I tried to get it all done myself. I was marketing, I was shipping out product. I'm doing customer service. I'm sourcing the product. I'm doing every single aspect of the business because, to me, I was so competitive that I thought I was the best at everything. And at the end of the day, it ended up limiting us. If you really want to scale, if you really want to get to that next level, you have to build a team. Teams win championships, and everybody plays a role in a winning team. And that was one aspect that I just didn't do a great job of that I really wish I did earlier. There is a window where you have to grind, you have to put that work in, you have to do everything. But then, once you get there and once you start getting, some money in your account, there's also a time to quickly switch over and start bringing in team members and giving them responsibilities and let them run with it as well. So I think I got there and I just didn't want to give it up. And I just took a little bit too long to really build that team. So this year's been big. I'm focusing on team. And I think that's really the last aspect that I've learned from sports that I think is really going to take us to that next level and make us a championship team.
Yeah. At what age do you think that was kind of like ingrained into your mind? All of you guys, all 5 brothers, I guess you could say, because I know I read that your dad made you guys a gym in your basement when you guys were young. Like, what was that whole experience like growing up in that household when it came to the self-discipline factor and all that stuff?
Yeah. So yeah, my dad, he had the gym in the basement, and my dad, I mean, my parents did a great job of raising us. So everything was, done for a reason to teach us, really the value of life and the value of a dollar, and then also earning everything that you had. I think that was one of the best lessons that they did for us was, we're never going to just hand you anything. If you want it, you have to earn it. If you want to go to college, awesome, you're paying for it, unless you get a scholarship. So, you want a car, great. Find a way to get a car. You can buy it yourself, and you want a new one, even better. Find a way to buy a new car. That's fine, but you're paying for it yourself. So they did a really good job of just teaching us the basic principles of hard work is really what it came down to. So the gym was there, but it was
Yeah.
never forced upon us. My dad would show us if we wanted to do it. So
Right.
people ask all the time, your dad played football, so that you guys were a football family. And the answer was really no. My oldest brother, Gordy, he never played football. My older brother, Dan, did, but he didn't start until high school. And then same with the rest of us. None of us actually started playing football until high school. It was really my dad's whole mentality was, if you want it, if you want the help, I'll help you get there. But if you don't want it bad enough, I'm not going to waste my time. So I think that was also just one of those things that kind of ingrained in our mind. If you want it, go all in. If you don't, then that's on you. That's fine. I'm not going to force you to do it. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things, and on top of that, my mom really just also did a really good job with our homework and grades, and just the responsibility on that end as well, because that is important. A lot of people think it's all about athletic talent.
Right.
What people don't realize is my scholarship for college pretty much came because of my grades. I was going to the University of Penn. I was accepted in the Wharton Business School, which was a huge honor. Ivy League is very tough to get into.
Right.
But I ended up actually getting us late. Like it was pretty much a week before camp started with college from the University of Maryland, and it came because of my grades. They lost a couple guys that couldn't get in. They couldn't pass their SATs or ACTs, whatever it was. They were going to prep school. They were about to go on academic probation because the team overall just wasn't doing that well. So I got this last minute offer, and it pretty much came down to the fact that they wanted me to come in and boost up their GPA. And it was kind of on this principle that, hey, we'll give you the scholarship, but you better have a 4.0, and hopefully you can contribute to football as well, is almost what it came down to. So grades are huge. And when you look at it, if I was just as talented as someone else, but their grades weren't as good, they're going to take me all day over that person because they know I'm not going to be a problem. They know I'm going to be there for 4 years. They know I'm going to look good for them at the end of the day. Whereas, if they take someone that might be the same talent, but the grades aren't there, they might flunk out in the first year. And it's just a waste of time for everybody and makes them look bad. So grades are important. And like I said, it goes all the way through, especially the NFL level. It's not something where you just look at a guy and who you're blocking. You have to know an entire defensive scheme at that point. So you have to know how to study. You have to know how to learn a playbook. And that all comes back all the way to high school. If you don't pick up the basic principles of learning, just a book in high school, you're not going to learn a playbook in the NFL either. So figure it out at the high school level and just let those good habits, transfer all the way through to college and then the NFL as well.
Now, on that topic, you go through all this. Obviously, you work your ass off to get where you're at. At the pro level, what do you think was the most humbling experience for you as a player, whether it was off the field or on the field?
Man, the most humbling experience, every day. Every day
Yeah.
was a humbling
Fair.
experience for me. Um, it really was. It was an absolute grind, man, every day. So, every guy you hit was the best guy on their college team, who was the best player in their high school. So every day, man, I know just going against DeMarcus Ware was probably the
Yeah.
most humbling thing ever. I probably tried to block him at least 20 times and unsuccessfully did so every single time. I mean, he was at his prime at the time when I was there, and he was so good and so strong that if I ran at him full speed, he would just juke me,
Yeah.
and I'd miss the block. So I'd have to slow down and I'd have to try to fit up on him. But he was so strong and had so much leverage that he can literally just one hand me, and I couldn't touch the guy, man. So that would drive me insane every time I had to try to block him. Uh, so something like that was every day, man. Was a humbling experience, and it was just trying to find a way to get better each and every day.
Wow. So back on the topic of Ice Shaker, because again, you guys were on Shark Tank. I wanted to get your take on like what that whole experience is like. Obviously, striking a deal with Cuban and A-Rod at the time. What was that whole experience for you like, as well as all you guys? Because you were all there, right?
Yeah, man. So I was the main person on the show, so I pitched it. My brothers actually weren't a part of the company at the time. Rob is now. He actually ended up buying A-Rod out, but it's the real deal, man. It really is what they say it is. You go on this show, you have a chance to look really good or look really
Yeah.
bad. luckily for me, we ended up getting offers from all five sharks. It ended up being a huge proof of concept for us. We ended up getting the investments from Mark and Alex after, and the sales exploded. But it came because I was prepared for it. I think we did a great job on the pitch, and then it was kind of just a simple and easy product to explain, and it was something that was needed at the time that just
Yeah.
no one was doing yet. So yeah, man, it was what I needed. We were 6 months in when we got on the show. We had 80,000 in sales. The next 12 months after we aired, we went from that 80,000 to over 3 million in sales. So
Wow.
the Shark Tank effect is real, but what is also real is the hard work that comes with it, man. Because when you go from $80,000 as a side hustle, to 3 million in sales, it becomes a full time business
Yeah.
overnight, and the workload is, it explodes as well. So that time there really was no employees, and it was really a huge learning experience for me. So much stuff was just thrown at me all at once, and
Yeah.
it was a struggle for sure. You don't just go and sit on an island and rake in all this money.
Right.
You go straight to work, and it's been a grind, man, for the last 3 years since that happened.
What do you think was like the biggest shell shock moment and all that? I'm sure you could reach out to those guys for advice at the time whenever you wanted, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to get access to someone that big.
Yeah.
You're talking about the actual sharks.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, they have so much on their plate that if there was nothing in it for them, it would be hard to contact them. But man, the biggest shocker for me was actually the fact that they wanted to rename the product, which I thought was crazy. They're supposedly supposed to be experts, and a lot of it comes down to two is was this really what they believed, or is this for the show? Because there are things that are done on the show for entertainment value only, I'm sure. So it could have been that play as well. But to me, it was shocking that they literally told me they wanted to trash all the bottles that I had and change them to the Gronk shaker, which I knew was a huge mistake,
Yeah.
um, because it just limits your market. And them, the Sharks supposedly are these marketing geniuses, and they're supposed to help you take it to the next level. But by doing that, and why I didn't name the product the Gronk shaker, was because it greatly limits your market. It limits it to people that are New England fans or football fans.
Right.
But someone like a Bills fan or a Jets fan or a Dolphins fan will literally not buy the product just because of that name on the bottle. So it would do great in the Northeast. It would do great early on. But at the end of the day, I wanted it to be a product for everybody. So that question shocked me, and I easily fixed that their suggestion just by making a limited edition. And I did come out with a limited edition right after the show. And for all those comments from people that said I'm an idiot for not changing the name and all that, they really didn't sell a ton or anything like that. It didn't like explode when I made this limited edition. So I was right with why I named it, and it kind of just proved itself and played out how I thought it would.
Now, on that topic, you said that if it was renamed to the Gronk Shaker, it would basically resonate with more of New England fans and Rob, who the whole Gronk nickname to me, like, who was was that always Rob's nickname? Like, that was always associated with Rob, or were you guys all Gronk at one point in your careers? Like, what's I guess, the origin behind the nickname?
Yeah, it's funny because it actually was my brother Dan who was probably the one who was called it first.
Yeah.
But Rob was never called Gronk because he always played with one of us for the most part. So, Dan was the first one in football, so they called him Gronk because he was the only one there.
Yeah.
After that, I played with Dan, and then I played with Rob, and then I played with Rob in college. So you couldn't really call him Gronk because there's two of us on the same team. So that nickname really didn't come around until the NFL.
Wow. And you both played at the University of Arizona?
Yeah, it's freezing a little bit, so I was going to pause for a second. But yeah,
Yeah.
so I actually went to the University of Maryland first. I played with my
Right.
brother Dan, and I transferred over to Arizona, and then played with Rob, and then we ended up coming out in the same draft together. I was a redshirt senior, and he was a true junior at the time, so we ended up being in the same draft as well.
Wow. And how close is that family? Like, you talk about growing up together in the same house with that self-discipline factor. You had the gym there if you wanted it. Obviously, three of you guys go pro at the same time. What is the what do you think makes you guys so close? I feel like you're all very similar when it comes to personality and stuff like that. But what's like the one thing that you think made you guys so close growing up, even now as adults?
Oh man, I mean, it was just us growing up because
Yeah,
we were so crazy that like we didn't have babysitters or we didn't have like someone's house to go to. My dad said it all the time. After the second kid, so when he had me, the third, no one invited them over anymore. So it was almost like we were so crazy that we were locked down to our house, and so it was just us. And I remember going my first day to preschool, elementary school, whatever it was, and it was like this crazy moment for me that I still remember to this day because I'd never really been away from my family before. So that's how it was, and we didn't go out to dinner because we were too crazy. My mom would try to bring us to church, and it was just not happening. So we were literally confined to like our house and to our sports, and that was it. So we always just every day, each and every day, we played with each other, we competed against each other. We were that house that everyone came to,
yeah.
friends wise as well. So we were just always around each other and always playing with each other. So I think that's why we're so close.
Wow. And what do you what do you think is your favorite venture as as like adults, whether it's like on game shows or now obviously as kids roughhousing all the time, but as adults, what do you think has been your favorite venture with the five of you?
Man, there's been some good ones for sure. I would say, man, Gronk Beach. So the newest
Yeah.
party was a good one for sure. But we're actually launching today our YouTube channel,
Oh yeah.
and it's great, man. It was kind of started because Rob retired for a year, and when he was playing, we always used games as a way to get together as a family. We'd always come together, everyone come to the game. We'd be able to see each other, four or five, maybe 10 times a year.
Yeah.
Uh, but then once he retired, we really didn't have that anymore. So we said, hey, let's do this YouTube channel and let's do some events together. We can compete against each other, bring in some cool names. So we did. So one of the videos that are launching today is we went deep sea fishing, and we caught some monsters that we pulled up. We all got sick. We were all throwing up, but it's just a good time, man. So uh, we did another one that's also launching today with the launch, and it's just a beer pong tournament and just having fun with a couple other celebrities as well. So just trying to find ways to come together. So I think, man, this is something that we go and we film, 5, 6, 7 videos at a time on a
Yeah.
weekend. And the last one we went on was in Tampa, man. It was just one of those trips where you're like, man, this isn't even work. Like this is amazing. So this is so much fun, and like everything we're doing is just great. So that's been one of my funnest things and I think it's just going to continue on, man. And we just keep thinking of new ideas where we're like, this is so epic. We got to do it. So
Yeah.
excited to see what happens, once the season's over and we're able to film a little bit more.
Now, was that more over like the past year when all of you guys did this, or was it more recent?
So some of the stuff's more recent. Some of it was months ago, but the whole idea really was to film while we were actually doing real events.
Yeah.
Most of the reality shows or whatever it is out there, it's all planned. Whereas we were doing all kinds of stuff. We had a stadium blitz event. So many charity events that we were doing. Or
Right.
there's so many things that we do anyways. I mean, it's almost a weekly thing that there's some kind of event that we'd love to showcase and really get some more eyeballs on because it's either a lot of fun or it's helping a great cause. And so we just wanted to start doing that because we're doing it anyways. So we wanted to find a way to get out there. YouTube was probably the best way to do it, and so we had it all planned out. And then COVID hit, and all of our events were canceled. All of our stadium blitz events and all the charity events, everything we had going on was just wiped out. So at that point, we did do like a boys' weekend trip to Tampa, and that's more recent. But some of the stuff's a little bit in the past. Some of it's just over Zoom and stuff like that, and then a lot of it's actually filmed over the past couple of weeks, or actually a little bit before that. So like the last month or two.
How creative do you have to be to do it over Zoom? Like, what type of stuff would you guys do to kind of make that entertaining? Because it's hard,
It's
man.
it,
Very hard.
it's more like it's more like game show style.
Yeah.
So they'll ask a question and we'll all write on a board, and at the same time we got to hold it up, kind of deal. So it gets pretty funny, man. Some of those are pretty good, and might even transition into more of like live feeds as well. So like, hey, maybe it's Tuesday game night or something like that, or Tuesday Q&A. When Rob has an off day on the during the week. So it could transition to that. I don't know how much we'll do during the season because at the end of the day, he has one focus at this time, and it's not YouTube. It's to go out there and win another Super Bowl. So we're not going to push it or even try to, but maybe an off week or something like that, we might get a video or two in.
Yeah. How shocked were you when he came out of retirement and signed with Tampa? Because I feel like a lot of people were kind of in that boat, like, I don't think he's coming back. And then all of a sudden, you put Tom and Rob back together in one unit in Tampa Bay, and all of a sudden, like, things start to roll in motion and things start to become more exciting. Like, they have an opportunity to win a fourth time together with an entirely different unit.
Yeah, man. Well, TMZ asked me this question a month before he came out of retirement, and I said I'd be shocked, and I would, and I was, because once you leave the game, it's hard to go back.
Yeah.
It really is, man. Like it's not an easy game. It's not even a game. It's a job at the end of the day, and it's a job that's super super stressful, no matter where you're at, and it's super dangerous too. So you can feel like you're the healthiest you've ever been until you go and get blindsided up the middle and someone takes out your knee.
Yeah.
There's no way to prepare for it. There's no way to train for it. There's no way to protect yourself for it. So it's a brutal game, man. It really is. And to me, I thought he accomplished everything that he came to accomplish. And so I thought it was a great ending, to a great story. But at the end of the day, if the fire is still burning and you're still, the premier player at your position, it's super hard to walk away. For most guys, it's, they walk away because they're forced to. When you walk away on your own terms, you kind of always have that what if. And I think that what if was still there, and that regret, was still there, that, maybe I have one more left in me. So
Yeah.
if that's the case, man, I say go for it all day, because, life is long after football, man. It's a whole other chapter. And if you have those regrets, man, you're going to sleep on them every night, and you're going to regret it. So I'm glad he went back, and the second he did, man, he just lit up. That fire was relit, a whole new focus, whole new mission, and man, he got excited really quick again. So it's good to see that fire back in his eyes.
Did you not have that same desire when you hung it up?
So for me, man, it was an easy choice for me.
Yeah.
So I got hurt. I took an injury settlement my fourth year. And then I tried to come back, and I ran a 40-yard dash, and I ruptured my hamstring. So for me, it was either have surgery, recover from it, try to come back from it, which probably wasn't going to happen unless I put at least a year of really hard work into it. Or it was to move on to the new business that I had that was actually making more money than my NFL career was making. So for me, it was almost a blessing that I got hurt, because it was just the end to the chapter. It was an easy end. It was easy for me to walk away with no regrets, because I knew it was over.
Now, during your playing days, on that topic, who do you think was the most, I don't want to say like disciplinarian player that you played with, but kind of the most looked up to in high regard when you played, whether it was in Dallas or Denver?
Man, definitely Peyton Manning, all day, man.
Yeah.
Everything that people say about him is true. He is the first guy there. He's the last guy to leave. He is a coach on the field. He knows every single player's responsibility in that huddle. He really is, man. And he's funny, and he does get his point across as well, and is a great leader. So Peyton all day would take that.
Wow. So, and I kind of wanted to dive into the Gronked Up podcast a little bit, doing a podcast right now. What was the whole idea behind that, and what's kind of like your main message when doing this podcast? Because you have people on from all over the spectrum, like whether it was Rob Van Dam or whether it's other professional athletes. Like, what's the main message that you're trying to get across with the podcast?
Yeah, man. So it all really started with value. I had a lot of people that are asking us questions, in my DMs about either business or marketing or fitness, nutrition, really anything you could think of. So Usually I'd write back a couple sentences, hey, eat this or try this workout. And then it even got to the point where I was writing blogs, full blogs about what I was eating, my workouts I was doing, and writing them all out. But at the end of the day, the best way to really get my message across and really give people a detailed answer was to do a podcast. So, we sat down and just said, hey, here's probably 50 topics that I'm getting asked over and over and over again. Let's give them a great informational resource that they can go to and actually really learn it.
Yeah.
So if they actually want to do this, they're not just getting 4 sentences from me. They're getting a 30-minute podcast on how to really get it done. So that's what it started with, from anything from, setting up your own business to email marketing, Facebook marketing, health and nutrition, anything that I could think of that I knew a lot on that could bring other people value. I said, let's do a full podcast on it. Yeah. And then after that, once I ran out of stuff that I was an expert in, I said, hey, the first 30 or so were pretty much me and my co-host Ryan. And after that, we said, hey, we're not experts at this, but let's find someone who is. So especially when COVID hit, the first thing we did was, I know a lot about, health and nutrition, but I'm not a diet coach. I'm not an expert at it. So let's bring in a diet coach. Let's bring in an expert at nutrition, especially now because people can't go to the gym. Let's bring in Tony Horton. So we got Tony Horton on right at that time, who's like the master of at-home workouts with P90X. Yeah. So we brought him in right at that point, and we just said, if we don't know something, if we're not great at it, let's find someone who is. Let's find someone who's an expert, and let's bring them in. So that just kind of led to a ton of amazing guests at this point. And we're on episode 68 actually, that we just released. And on 68 was one of my favorite guys, Andy Frisella, who I've listened to probably over 300 of his podcasts with the MF CEO project. So he was kind of one of those dream guests for me. And at episode 68, probably about a year into the podcast, I was able to get him on mine. So it was kind of a nice defining moment for us.
And for you personally, and this will be the last question I ask, I don't want to take too much of your time. For you personally, when it comes to fitness, what's your kind of goal right now? Obviously, during your playing days, I assume you're trying to bulk up as much as you can, trying to find that, obviously, still have the highest amount of stamina that you could have. What is your main purpose right now? Obviously, you got a family, you got kids. Are you trying to be as cut as you want to be? Are you trying to bulk up? What's your whole MO right now when it comes to fitness for you personally?
Yeah, man. So I'm more about just functionality at this point.
Yeah.
If you look at me in my playing days, I was huge.
Right.
It took me a while to lose that weight, and really throughout all of college as well. I mean, I was big, and I had to be big to play my position. And I was carrying weight that I wouldn't naturally carry just so that I could perform. So my goal then was, just keep the weight on. I'd go into camp at 245. By the end of camp, I'd be 228. I'm trying to block linebackers that are, 250. So I had to purposely eat as much as I could. But with that habit's hard to kick, man, especially when you're done and your activity level goes way down. So with that, I had to find a way. It took me about 3 years to really lose that weight and get shredded. So at this point, it's really, for me, it's functionality. So I'm not trying to go in there and bench, 315 anymore, or, squat a house like I used to. I'm going in there and I'm doing high reps. I'm trying to get a good muscle pump. I'm trying to build muscle still, lose fat. And really the overall goal is, get healthy and look good too, man. I mean, you got to look good, right? So a lot of people now they're like, man, you look like you could play. And I'm like, no, I can't play. I'm 35 pounds down and I might look shredded. I might look cut. I might look like I'm in really good shape, but it's a completely different shape than what football is. Football is all about being explosive, man. So it's the most weight as possible that you can move as fast as possible. So bench, you're sitting there and you're benching 405 for reps at 3. Now I'm down to I'll do 225 for 15 or whatever it is, or maybe I'll just do 50 push-ups or whatever it is, man. But it's all now just about getting the muscles, getting blood to the muscles, get it flowing, and just feeling good, man, and being able to just do stuff each and every day without hurting.
Now, what was the diet like during your playing days? Obviously, you said you were a lot bigger than just overall. Were you just eating whatever was there?
That was the best diet ever, man. So every meal when you're in the NFL is a buffet for the most part.
Yeah.
It was at a point where I would literally just eat bacon
Mm.
in the morning at breakfast just to keep weight. I remember my year with the Broncos. I was actually I wasn't playing as much because Peyton, they brought me in as this fullback for Peyton, but
Yeah.
he runs a hurry up offense and he's never used a fullback in his life. But they kind of brought me in as a security blanket in case he couldn't really throw. So I played mostly just all special teams, a little bit on offense, but I wasn't as active. So I was still eating bacon every day. So I had to actually cut the bacon out for 1 year, just because I didn't need that many calories. But early on, especially like with the Cowboys, when I was taking a ton of snaps and they were just killing us in practice too, and I had to just eat whatever I could just to get calories in. So it was eat as much as I can whenever I could, and that's complete opposite now. I try to eat smaller meals and just I eat frequently. I just eat a lot smaller meals, and I stop eating once I'm full at this point.
Yeah.
So
Now, when
completely
it
different
comes to the
style.
the calorie like surplus intake, obviously when you're playing, you're trying to be as big as possible. You're trying to be as explosive as possible. Again, eating like a ton of bacon, which isn't necessarily the healthiest thing in the world. But now, given with everything that you're doing now when it comes to fitness, do you learn more and more every day about different types of things to do to like accomplish those goals, or is it more of like, okay, this is the writing on the wall, this is what I need to do?
No, I mean, I research now, and I actually study a lot more about my diet and nutrition. When I was playing it, I had no idea. I didn't know why I was doing it. I mean, even coming out of college was all about how much food can I get for the cheapest amount of money possible.
Yeah.
So if that was going to Wendy's and getting a double burger and a frosty for like $3, that was what I was doing, man, because I needed 1,000 calories. I wanted to get as much as I could for as little as possible. So um, yeah, now I actually I I research a lot more into what I'm eating, why I'm eating it, when I'm eating it as well, because that's big too. A lot of people don't realize that you can eat certain foods that aren't necessarily healthy for you if you're eating them at the right times as well. So and using them for fuel for a workout or something like that. So a lot about just when to eat fats, healthy fats, when to eat your carbs, when to eat your protein really helps as well. And most people don't know that.
So, and this will be the last question, I promise. I'm not going to be that guy that goes like an hour and a half. For you guys growing up in the Gronkowski house, who was the one guy that was picked on the most, and what was the most gruesome injury between the five of you?
Man, most picked on was definitely Rob, and he loved it, man.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, we just beat him down, and he just keep coming back for more. Uh, Most gruesome injury, man. There's a couple. I think Gord flipped off his bike. He broke his collarbone, so that one was pretty good early on. Rob, we were racing on four wheelers, and he was going too fast, flew off the path, hit a tree, and he flew off the four wheeler. And then he didn't really want to say anything, but he had like this piece of wood that was, I mean, it was a good chunk of wood that was stuck in his leg, and it actually got stuck in there. The branch broke off, and like, it was deep in there, but he didn't tell anyone. And so as time went on, your body starts to push foreign objects out,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden he had like this big, this big tree stump, like coming out of his leg, man. And then he finally said something. So that was a pretty good one too. We had to go in and get that taken out, but yeah, man, that was good.
Oh my God.
My little brother Glenn we played mini sticks in the basement. So on Christmas Day, my mom was filming. I think Rob checked me, and Glenn was behind me, and he was only like, I don't know, maybe two or three at the time. And so I tripped over him, fell on him, and he slammed his chin and cut his chin open on Christmas Eve. So my mom was at the hospital for Christmas Eve getting him stitched up. So there was just a lot of action, man, all day, every day. But I mean, I wouldn't say there was that many injuries for the most part. It was kind of like, I'm sure we had a ton of bumps and bruises, but
Yeah.
nothing that was really that serious.
I mean, you guys are definitely tough guys. You played through an injury during your NFL days, right? I read that correctly. Didn't you have a? I mean, I guess you know better than anybody. What weren't you hurt during?
Yeah, so I tore, so it was week 7 with the Colts. I tore my pec. So I had pec surgery that ended my season. But that, I mean, just, it's really that's all you do as as an NFL athlete, man, is you play through injuries,
Wow.
all day, every day. And man, I've seen some guys where their entire legs are black and blue and they're still playing. So you kind of just learn to get through the pain, and it's part of the job.
God, tough guys, tough guys. I promise that's it. Chris, thanks so much for taking time out of your day, man, to talk to me. Thanks for being generous enough, and the best of luck moving forward with Ice Shaker. Have fun at the new warehouse, man.
Thanks, Jack. I appreciate it, man.